Hey everyone, Gabrielle Celeste here. Welcome to another episode for my YouTube channel. I hope everyone is doing well. At time of recording, we are smack dab in the middle between two very karmic eclipses. We are in a 9-year, in a 9-month, and the energy around the last week has been so intense, and I think it's just so interesting. Um, to be alive and on the planet right now. So I wanted to create a video that speaks to energetically protecting yourself, but also energetically protecting yourself in public spaces. I recently had the experience of going to this store in town. Actually, I've been visiting there since I was a child, and they were closing down, and I went with my sister, and it was in the morning, and I drink a lot of water, coffee, fluids in the morning, so I have to use the restroom quite a bit. And I was like, I just need to go in, right? And I've never had a good feeling about that particular restroom. But when I walked in, I quite literally felt like another non-human entity watching me, as I sometimes do. And that's how I'm like, oh, okay, like that's sometimes they're called compassionate beings, sometimes they're called entities, sometimes they're called demons. Hopefully YouTube doesn't flag that. But I thought it was really interesting because I walked in and I was like, I feel like I'm being watched. So immediately I went to my protocols and before I leave my house, before I go anywhere in public, if I'm going to a concert or if I'm going to travel, I have very distinct protocols that I try to implement. And sometimes I do forget, but I try my best because I am a sensitive being and I'm sensitive to energy. And especially if I'm around large groups of people, um, groups of people in general, public settings, it can sometimes be overwhelming if I'm not grounded and protected and all the things. So, in that particular instance, I quite literally called in Archangel Michael and I imagine a protective bubble around my field, a protective, impenetrable bubble. And I called in my angels and specifically Archangel Michael, and I was just like, hey, like protect me. And I was fine. And I instantly felt better in that moment. But, sometimes now having had the language for it that I didn't have when I was younger, I recognize that, oh, this is actually an energetic entity that's there that I maybe would have dismissed when I was younger because, you're taught to not believe in those things or know those things to be true. And so that is what sparked this episode. The density of literally the time at time of recording and being in a public setting and noticing, something trying to get a hold of my energy. So the other place that, I usually call in my spirit team. I'll call in Archangel Michael. I'll put a bubble up. But I think oftentimes other places in which that people kind of let themselves or their guards down would be like crystal shops. Some crystal shops actually do a really good job of keeping the energetic field there clean. So what they'll do is they'll place selenite crystals around the store, and because selenite is self-cleansing, and you can feel it as soon as you walk in if the integrity of the place is there or not. Because what happens is people just drop their shit off in like botanigas or in crystal shops and they just walk out. And that's why usually the energy of those stores tends to be better. So I quite literally, I would tell, my sisters when we go get crystals and stuff in the past, like make sure you're bubbling up, you're protecting yourself. Nothing can penetrate your energy, period. And I think that sometimes we're kind of keen to, or prone to, I should say, like just maybe not be aware or let our guard down a bit. So that's one area that I think that is interesting to experience the energy there if you're not conscious of protecting yourself. The next one is your home space. So home is usually where you feel the safest. It is your sanctuary. It is a place where you could really integrate and process your energy and do your healing and rest and recuperate and recover. And the ways in which I like to keep my home clean, I try to keep my bathroom as clean as possible. My sister edits this. She's going to laugh because she'll probably disagree with me, but there is actually something to the energy of keeping your bathroom clean, because that's where quite literally like your shit gets disposed. So there's in feng shui, there's a belief that you want to keep your lid, your toilet lid down, because that's the way that money like can leave quite easily. You just kind of want to keep your space as clean as possible, especially if you're like a reader, if you're an intuitive watching this, cleansing your space with, sage or Palo Santo. And I know that those are sometimes controversial resources, but I certainly notice a difference when my space is clean, when it's not. When there's spaciousness around, I feel as though the energy for like and I wouldn't say I'm clear to receive information. I just feel better in my space while I'm doing my work. So, and also feng shui, having literally my bed in a certain direction. So I'm sleeping in the direction of resources. I have, remedies of depending on like, red lights or like certain types of metals or, flowers or bodies of water in my room. And they're very strategically placed so as to support my personal feng shui. So I'm set up for success. So preparing your literal environment as a psychic is very important as well. And for me, I really rely on cleanliness, spaciousness, and let me do that. And for me, I really rely on cleanliness, spaciousness, and the feng shui. The next environment I think is important to consider is traveling. So when you're literally on a plane, you're in the process of like being transported into a different dimension of you, if you will, uh in a plane. Like you're literally in a metal tube flying through the sky from one location to that. It's just like the concept of a plane is really interesting. And something that I've recognized is that I'm in a very deep meditative state when I'm flying. And it wasn't always that way, but what I've found since I've done so much energy work, raising my frequency, all the things, whatever you want to call it, tuning out of media while I'm traveling and really just listening to my thoughts, my higher self, journaling, being present is really important for me. And it's really, it's a special time to take advantage of if you have that type of opportunity and time. But the way that I prepare myself when I'm traveling is like I have to move my body if I know I'm going to be sitting down on a flight. And I will go through my full protocol in the morning where I will literally wake up, I will meditate, I will get to the gym, I will make sure I have so much hydration as much as possible because I know it supports my physical system since flying is super hydrated or dehydrating. And I, again, try to tune out of media while I'm actually in the process of flying, but I also clean the chair that I'm in and I bring gloves and all the things. And this was post 2020. Um, I don't think like the energy of it's clean at all. And the person that you're next to, you're in close proximity, their auric field's super close to yours. So setting yourself up as you would for like a work day or travel day, setting yourself up for success, whatever that looks like for you, is really important while you're traveling, particularly in flights, is what I'm referring to, because in my mind, it's easier to be programmed. So I hope that these suggestions in terms of how to prepare for different environments as an intuitive, as a highly sensitive person, as a sensitive being is supportive for you. And yeah, you can find me at AGUA Astrology, at the Spiritual Sisters podcast on all platforms. And I do readings, I do one-to-one coaching, I offer courses. And yeah, I'm really here to be a resource to help people, and check me out if you feel called. And I'll see you in the next one.